On Rebecca Walser to please help me make it all go away. Please make it stop and go away, Rebecca. Thanks for coming on the show. Tired, poor, and hungry at the end of this. What do you think?
All three, maybe. Unfortunately, Scott, it's hard for us because you and I both really love when the market's doing well, and we love to talk about the sectors and where can we get growth and long-term movement and all these things. And right now, everything is a sea of bad news. And when you have an administration that is once again changing the definition of a long-established economic fundamental, like a recession, then you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. You are drawing more attention to the economic woes of this country, and frankly, globally. This is a global situation. This is unprecedented. I actually believe, Scott, that we are witnessing the end of fiat currency globally, worldwide. And the only reason the United States isn't up in arms and hitting the streets like all of these other countries that we're seeing is because we are the worst or the best of the worst. In other words, we are the strongest player in the game, but that doesn't mean our game isn't bad. And it will come to us. We cannot be so arrogant in America to not think that what you're seeing all around the world with these collapses of these governments and these resignations of these leaders, this is all an economic connection that is interwoven to all these countries. And America, it will come to us. We must prepare.
Right. And so right when they changed the definition of recession to incorporate jobs, they wrote that over the weekend. But that was just after Ford announced they're going to get rid of 25% of their American workforce. I mean, talk about being out of it and absolutely clueless. 8,000 people, go the way of pink slip, and you're going to tell you that you'd rather have jobs as part of your number. That's crazy, number one. Number two, I absolutely agree with you about it's coming this way. And what we mean by that is the strife that European countries are seeing with this ESG movement and how they're coming for the fossil fuels. They've already done that. Now they're going to come for our food. So they're in the middle of doing that with some of the farming here. But I would argue the fact that it's here already. And the reason why we haven't had the uprising is because we're probably a wealthier country than those other countries, and we're going to have food on the shelves longer. But at some point in time, it's not going to be there.
That's right. I mean, you're looking at Canada. Canada is now implementing 30% fertilizer reduction. That's going to make the farmers protest in Canada. France is coming soon on the economic destruction side. Germany is already not a net exporter for the first time in 30 years. The EU cutting off Russia and saying basically we're not going to accept energy from Russia anymore when they don't have an alternative is basically them pushing this green movement to the extreme. And this is when you're going to see people protesting in the streets because they are not going to be able to buy the food that the farmers can't make because there's not enough fertilizer or the prices are too expensive or the ESG requirements of these governments are making them stop production. And when people cannot feed their children, watch out. This is when you will see global uprisings. And really what's happening, Scott, is that we are just at the precipice of we cannot continuously print. And so the fiat currency problem is upon us. We are at the end of the road with fake debt financed currency. We have to go back to some kind of asset-backed class of some kind that cannot be manipulated because that is what's causing this all across the world. The combination, it's intentional, the combination of the green movement through ESG requirements, reduction of farming, reduction of phosphates, reduction of fertilizers, all of these things are pushing us further and closer to a precipice where we're just not going to have enough food and enough resources for all of the population that exists in this world. And there's going to be some substantial changes in this country and across the world, and we should prepare. And you're right, Scott, but I also talked to logistics experts, and they're saying that the wheat, the rice that we currently have, that's it. And prepare now because there's not much more coming.
Well, it's just amazing that the gift that these climate elitists have been given through this Russia problem, where now they can, be in joy of shutting it off and seeing what Europe does, number one. But number two is, we get a ton of feedback on this subject on the cow phone that I do this cow phone segment I do at the end of the show, Rebecca. And a lot of the folks just ask out there, what is the end game of these climate elite people? What do they want to see happen by limiting our fossil fuels and shutting off our food? What would be the answer you'd tell them?
Well, I'm so sorry that it's such a cynical and disgusting answer. But the truth is, if you look at the World Economic Forum or their Agenda 2030, which they've now they've fast tracked, they signed a memorandum of understanding between the United Nations and the WEF, the World Economic Forum, to fast track this by next year. And I will just tell you that there is not going to be in that new world enough livestock, feed and food for almost 8 billion people that now exist. I hate to say this, but it is in their own documents. They do not want more than 1 billion people on the face of this planet. And so to them, to say it crassly, if these changes reduce the food, that then reduces the population, they seem to be okay with that, unfortunately.
And obviously their plans, they're a part of those billion people, or they wouldn't be doing this. And why? I mean, it almost sounds like conspiracy theorists there, Rebecca. I mean, how can you give, what should the viewers do? What comfort can they take? What's their next step?
Next step for Americans is for us to realize that the government isn't going to come in and save us. This is a perpetual problem. You know what? We talk, Scott, about how it's so hard to hire people. We have so many open jobs, and why aren't they? But this administration took away the work requirements for aid, for welfare, basically. So you're seeing a lot of people come out of the workforce that don't have any reason to go back in it. And what we can do is stop relying on this government to save us and to start taking matters into our own hands. So what that means is, you need to have a stockpile of food and water. And I hate to sound like a prepper here, and I could conspiracy theorist, but read their documents, Scott. This is in black and white in their own writing. They are very open about the fact that there will be, as we transition to this fourth industrial revolution between AI and robotics that will replace so many jobs, they actually use the term useless eaters, and they say there's not going to be a lot of things for people to do. I actually believe that they are very clear and intentional in their documents that say they want a population reduction globally, because they feel that anything beyond 1 billion people, and some people actually say 500 million, is something that Earth cannot sustain. So they actually believe that we are killing our Earth. And because they feel that so strongly, they are putting these documents in writing that we need to reduce the food supply and the population. I mean, we just had a person come out and say population control is the largest problem facing the globe as we speak.
Amazing.
And that is what is leading to the green movement at such extremes. I mean, Scott, normally we would take 2 decades to transition to something that actually made sense and could sustain. But when we're doing it this fast, and you're seeing such a massive transition so fast, they're using coronavirus as the opportunity to move us off of fossil fuels by fiat, by edict, and to green. And we know that green does not provide the resiliency that is necessary on our sustained energy use. Right. So this is the problem. We don't really have alternatives. And so the alternative is less food, less people. They think the problem will be solved. And so we have to start acting in our own self-interest. Protect yourself, protect your family, understand that America's not exempt.
Yep. All right. That's a lot to take in, man. Boy, I really appreciate you coming on and putting it that clearly for us. Thank you very much, Rebecca Walser, coming to us from Tampa, Florida. All right. Let's